Okay, so in editing my previous videos, I realized I mixed them up a little bit. So if anyone's confused, they shouldn't be because I've re-edited now. But a video assessing what I think the Tories need to change kind of got conflated with the one about the cult of celebrity, the second video on that. So I've re-edited it a little bit. Basically, when I uploaded it, put the wrong title with the wrong video. So if there's any confusion, that's what happened. I had a number of videos in the queue. This issue I'm going to be talking about now is a personal one, but it's also one I think is important, a bit like the videos I've made about online dating. LP, you asked me a question, and I'm going to address that in the video. You did a drink there. You asked me, why don't you just date in real life? I think I did address that actually in that longer video, the 36-minute one, but basically, in my city, it's really not easy. Sunderland is not the most cosmopolitan place. Um, we have good things in the city. I mean, I will always praise Sunderland's good side, but it's really not the easiest place to meet people. It's just not. Some places are, some places not so much. I think if I lived in Newcastle upon Tyne, somehow it would be just be more opportunities because it's the regional capital, and I just think it would be different. Um, So, I was always skeptical of online dating. I'm not someone who just immediately went to that. And actually, my experience, my first two girlfriends I met in real life. I met one of them at a social club, another one at a party. So, um, that's, I have that experience as well. But there's a lot of reasons why people go to online dating. And I'm not suggesting you were saying this, but some people have a stereotype about people who go to online dating like they're desperate or something like that. That kind of pisses me off because it's something that a lot of people do. Um and it is true. I mean, certainly my experience can testify to this. You get a lot of insincere, vacuous people there who waste others' time. That is true. But I'm not so cynical to completely dismiss it because I've made friends from eHarmony who women who are sincere, and in one case, one lady that I met, well, I mean, it didn't work out because she still had feelings for her ex, but we're s- we've become friends, and she's actually been a good friend. She's given me feedback on some of the issues I've been through. By feedback, I mean perspectives, and we've had conversations about this stuff, and it's I mean video conversations, so she is who she says she is. Because this is the thing with online dating, it's always useful to verify. What I mean by that is you could be talking away to someone and they might seem all nice and all, but if you don't see them on video, and you can't verify that, for example, the profile picture is the same person you're speaking to, then you should be a bit cautious because there are scams out there. But what irritates me is people think that if you've been screwed over or you must be naive. You must be naive. I'm a pretty intelligent guy, and I'm not naive. I ask questions. I'm assertive. The truth is, you get manipulative people out there, and you get selfish people out there, and it, anyone can fall to this stuff. I get a bit annoyed at these people who are sort of self-righteous. Like, oh, it would never happen to me because I'm careful. So am I. I would never give out bank details. Um, I would never, for example, send someone money if they were asking for it, things like that. So I am assertive, but it can happen to anyone, believe me. I mean, I asked all the questions I felt were necessary. There would be one more question I would ask now, given the experience I had and the experience I'm going to be talking about in this video. And it's about the issue of ghosting. If you're not familiar with this term in dating vernacular, basically it's when the other person just cuts off all contact. It could be in the form of blocking, it could be in the form of just saying nothing. Now, some people might have a knee-jerk attitude to this and think, well, why is she or he cutting off all contact? Have you been inappropriate? Have you been sleazy? Can you not take no for an answer? And I concede that there will be people like that. They can't take no for an answer, or they're they just won't let it go. But that's not what ghosting is about. You see, in the traditional scenario, or a normal scenario, let's say, person A is not interested in person B, and they tell them, say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. We're not compatible. I still have feelings for my ex. I'm just not interested. I'm not attracted to you, whatever it is. So they reject them. The rejection is never fun. No one likes to be rejected. It's happened to me a few times, and I've rejected people myself. But that's not ghosting, because you're telling the person what the situation, you're not interested, what the situation is, you're not interested, and that's it. So I'll tell you about my experience, but actually, before I get into that, my own experience, I came across an article in the Times from the 2nd of August, and this caught my attention. It very much relates to what I've been through. Just getting comfortable here. And that's actually from the Philippines. This is a proposed legislation. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this, but it's interesting. The report's by George Stillis. It's from August the 2nd. Heard the one about the Philippines trying to ban ghosting? You've gone quiet. Are you at it too? Um, Being ghosted, the practice of ignoring someone over text message or social media, usually after a date, is for a generation of young people unconscionably bad manners. And actually, that the way Mr. Stillis is describing that is very trivial. It's a lot worse than that. For Arnolfo Teves Jr., however, a colourful congressman in the Philippines, it's far worse than that. Teves has proposed a bill declaring ghosting an emotional offence, claiming that those who go silent without offering any warning or explanation when dating should be punished with face-to-face community service. I've checked out his Facebook page and there's nothing in that about this, so whether he's had a backlash or there's nothing on his Facebook page about this. Um, Tevez claims cutting off all forms of communication with someone following a meeting online or in person can be likened to a form of emotional cruelty and a form of spite that develops feelings of rejection and neglect. Ghosting has adverse effects on the mental state of the one being ghosted, and his or her emotional state is still adversely affected, as he or she will be constantly thinking of the welfare or the unexplained reasons of the one who ghosted, he said. Well, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. If punishment need not be heavy. It can just be light, a slight reprimand that will do, he told ABS CBN News channel. Regine Gallo, a teacher from Davao province in the Philippines, told the Times that although she found the experience of being ghosted hurtful, Teva's proposal was the most ridiculous bill ever written. Well, that's only one interview. I imagine a lot of other people might be tempted to support it. Here's the thing. I don't know how common this problem is in the Philippines, so if he's responding to maybe people writing to him or something, I don't know. But I've been through this recently. And I can guarantee that it is a shitty, shitty thing to go through. It really is. Um, but I think there's a lot of misconceptions about it because I saw a report about this on Facebook, and a lot of people were joking about it and thinking it was some sort of trivial thing, or it tended to go. The responses tended to be either to joke about it and to ridicule the people complaining of being ghosted, or to even insinuate that people being ghosted must be stalkers or inappropriate or something like that. But here's the thing: I think anybody with any ounce of self-respect, if the other person's being inappropriate, they would say something. You know, if you're a woman and some guy's being sleazy, tell him to piss off. Um, or if it's like an initial contact, block him. But that isn't ghosting. That is not ghosting. Now, Mr. Tevez's proposed bill, it's probably not realistic because it's very difficult to legislate on feelings, and I'm not sure that you should. I've often spoken out against that sort of thing in the UK. I don't think you should legislate on feelings, but it is a form of emotional abuse. It is. The problem with legislating on it is it's quite hard to verify and it's quite hard to process individual cases, like who said what. It's hard to prove, quite honestly. And you may have a situation where people use it as an excuse where they are being stalkers or they're being sleazy, and then they make themselves out to be the victim. So I understand the problem with legislating something like this, but fundamentally, what he said is not wrong. It's not wrong. And again, actually, my friend, my female friend who spoke to me about this, she's Filipina. And she said, I believe the term we use is ghosting. So the vernacular is obviously going over there as well. I'm not sure where it originates. I imagine it's American English, but um, people need to understand ghosting isn't like you've rejected someone, then you don't want any more contact with them. That's not ghosting. That's reasonable. Ghosting is when you just choose, oh, I just don't want to talk to this person, and I'm not going to. Now, it goes well beyond playing bad manners. It is, I think, emotional abuse. I'll be quite honest. The experience I've been through over the past month has been really bad, and it has got me very, very depressed. Um, it's something I really could have done without. So, speaking as someone who's been ghosted, I really, really would take issue with anyone who's trying to downplay it. I would say to those people, you've not been through it, so you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Um, it's easy to laugh at people or to say they're being overly sensitive. How the hell is expecting some basic manners being overly sensitive? Um, so this is what happened. And I'm not going to reveal her identity or anything like that because I'm not interested in revenge. That's not what this is about. It's more to lay out to people what this is like and what it means. And I hope that some of the people watching this will have been through it themselves, not because I want them to suffer, but because they can empathize. They'll know what I'm talking about. So basically, I met this young woman. She's 27, a bit younger than me, but she's an adult. She's 27. She's a nursing student and she lives in Edinburgh. That's all the personal information I'm going to give out for this video. Um, Now, we connected by online dating, by eHarmony, and we started talking and we had a really good connection. Really good connection. We found we had a number of things in common. We were talking a lot, and then we extended this to emails, and we were communicating a lot by emails. Um, and this was not one-sided. This was not my delusion, because the sort of language she was using was very much, "I can't wait to talk to you. Will you be free after dinner? Let's continue." And it was very enthusiastic. Now, it wasn't a very long period. I'm talking about 10 days. So it's not like we were online dating for months on end. I'm not implying that was the case. But in that period, it did get quite deep. And again, this is something that people misunderstand about online dating. People who haven't done it will be dismissive and they'll say, oh, that's not real. There's no feelings there. And to be honest, I used to do that. I was frankly ignorant about online dating in the sense that I would dismiss people's experiences. And I was wrong. I was wrong to do that because I've learned from experience that actually you can get a deep connection with someone, or at least you can get into an area where you feel it's a deep connection, right? So she was really flirtatious as well. I mean, this wasn't the only thing she was about because I would have read into that. I would have thought, well, yeah, that's shallow. I'm not interested. But my point is, we had a real connection. We were complimenting each other. She said I was a really handsome guy, blah blah blah, and she was very attractive. She was just my type, very cute, just very attractive girl. And she was, I believe, who she said she was because the profile pictures that she was using on eHarmony corresponded to pictures that she showed me of herself. Now, people might say, "Oh, she could easily get that from the internet." I guess that's possible, but the nature of these pictures were quite they just didn't look like something that came from a catalog or a stock internet picture. They really, really didn't. And again, I'm not interested in revenge or embarrassing anyone. I'm not going to do that to her. So I'm not going to like show the pictures or anything like that. Anyway, it would be illegal. It's illegal to do that. Um, That's not what I'm interested in. I'm not trying to expose her or something like that. It's more a generic warning or a generic recount of my experience so that people can understand what this means and understand the effect it has. And I hope, I mean, it's never going to happen, but I hope she sees this video and maybe thinks about the way she's treated me. And maybe she gets in touch. If you are watching this, get in touch. Anyway, she knows who she is if she happens to see this. Um, so anyway, we had this really good connection and all was great. Then she said that her mother was, she told her mother, this is what happened. She told her mother, and her mother didn't approve, basically. Her mother said she's here to study, not to meet guys online. Okay, okay. So this is obviously a pressure. This is a difficulty. It's a situation. And I said, well, okay, well that's unfortunate, but um, are you still interested in me? And she said yes. And she promised she would make it up to me, and you don't deserve this, and I will message you later for an explanation. Right? That's what she said. Well, she really gave me the impression that she wanted to continue this. She wanted it to be resolved. There was pressure that she was under. Now, that was over a month ago. It was the 1st of July. I've heard nothing since then. Nothing. So after 10 days of this really in-depth connection, this real, connection that we had, she's just decided for whatever reason that she doesn't want to take the responsibility to contact me. Now, there are some things I've considered. There may be a remote chance that something's happened to her. Maybe she's been in an accident, God forbid. Maybe she's got very sick, God forbid. Maybe something's happened to her mother, God forbid. But frankly, those would be the only reasons that she would have a legitimate reason not to contact me. Now, I want people to be clear about this. She never rejected me. She never said, oh, I'm not really interested or this is not working out. Exact opposite. She showed real interest. And she, even after this situation with her mother, she said she wanted it to be resolved and she wanted to continue talking to me. Nothing in a month, over a month. And I have to say that experience, July was one of the worst months of my life. It was shit. It was a hard month. It was because people who think, oh, well, they're not interested, just move on. You don't understand. You don't understand. Because if you haven't been through this experience, if you haven't had that connection with someone, you don't know what it's like. I want to be very clear here. This is not someone I shared a couple of messages with, or some girl I thought, oh, she's attractive, and we spoke a little bit, and that was it. No, this was a very real connection. We spoke about meeting each other. We planned to meet each other, and it never happened. But people might say I'm naive. I don't think so. I asked her lots of questions. I asked about her background. I wanted to verify she was a sincere person. She said nothing in this time, nothing that gave me any sort of red flags or like, oh, there's something off with her. Nothing. Even now, she might surprise me. I think it's highly unlikely, but she might. But what I'm driving at is this example in the Philippines. I don't think you could legislate something like this, but the congressman isn't wrong that it's emotional abuse because you leave someone in a steep rut where they think, have I done something wrong? And they constantly question the whole situation. Was I naive? What did I say? What's happened? Has she met someone else? Has she? There's just a million questions. Guys do it as well. I'm not suggesting this is a gender thing. I know there's women have gone through this where the guy is just ghosted. The term, of course, comes from this idea that someone has become a ghost, like they've vanished. Now, again, if someone's being sleazy or they're being inappropriate, then ignoring them is justified. In fact, you can block them. I am not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about giving someone false hope, giving them the impression that all is good and then just vanishing. That is shit. It's cowardly. It's very cowardly. Um, and take it from me, as someone who's been through this, it's not pleasant. It's not, because you end up basically you have these hopes because things are great, then they're shattered. Because at some point, I'm not talking about a couple of days or a week even, or even 2 weeks. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, right? I waited and waited. I did message her and say, look, if communication is important to me, please get back in touch. I understand you're under pressure, but get back in touch. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed. Well, it's been over a month now, nothing. She has ghosted me. There's no question about it. Um, if she finally gets in touch and says, this awful thing happened, I was in an accident, I couldn't communicate, or something happened to my mother, or something like that, I'd be understanding in those circumstances, provided she's telling the truth. But those are the only excuses that someone can have, literally. If you find that you're no longer interested in someone, just tell them. If she had said to me after a week, look, I'm really sorry, Nathan, I don't think this is going to work out, of course I'd be disappointed. And maybe I'd try to see if she could change her mind. I would accept it. I'm not the sort of guy to push and push and push. No means no. I get that. But people need to understand that this does happen. It's not just that someone has been, they can't take no for an answer. There are people out there who, because they're immature or they're cowardly, they can't take the responsibility to simply say to the other person, no, or I'm sorry, I'm not interested. So instead, they hide and they run away and they leave the other person to deal with the emotional turmoil of that. And it is when you are looking for something in life and you hope to build up and then they're shattered. It's a horrible experience. It is. So I take quite a strong view on those who want to make excuses for this and who even blame the victims. And it is, am I a victim? Well, yeah, I'm a victim of ghosting now. I'm not feeling like I need compensation or I don't want any legal repercussions against her, but I would like her to know what she's done. And it's just, if you're so immature that you cannot be upfront with someone, you don't deserve to be in a relationship. You don't deserve to have a decent person in your life in that context because you have a lot of growing up to do. You see, call me old fashioned, but I believe in decent communication. I've been in a situation where I haven't been interested in a woman, and I've told her up front. I was civil about it. I didn't want to say anything hurtful or, you know, too blunt, but I told her because I didn't want to waste her time. That simple. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but that's what ghosting is. And if you're ever in a situation where you're not interested in the person, for goodness sake, just tell them. Just tell them. Now, if they don't accept it, and if they push and push, then that's their fault. But if you're not even going to tell them and they keep asking questions, you can't blame them. Of course, they're going to ask questions if they don't know what's going on. You can't expect people to just assume that you're not interested. That's ridiculous. And, those people who think this is trivial or they don't understand, all I would say is they've not been through it. They've not been through it, so they're not empathizing because they can't understand. And that's all there is to it. Let me know your thoughts if you've been through this. I'm not looking for advice. I'm not looking for sympathy either. Empathy, perhaps, and understanding. But people need to understand what this means and what it is. Ghosting is not. It's not. It's not. When you've rejected someone, then you don't say anything else because you've been upfront. You've rejected them. Ghosting is when you say nothing.